President Trump's rally in Madison Square Garden was a huge success. Just take a look at this photo. Not an empty seat in sight. The place was packed from bottom to top. Just earlier this morning, CNN was wondering on air if Trump could even fill the arena because it's in deep blue New York City. Well, not only did he fill it, but there was a huge overflow crowd as he was speaking.
Say a very big hello to a special place, New York, and to an incredible arena, Madison Square Garden.
Now, keep in mind that the venue was filled to capacity 3 hours before Trump even got on stage. So the people that were part of the overflow crowd, even though they couldn't get in, they actually had to wait outside, stand outside for 3 hours. As you can tell, it's really cold in New York right now. We are approaching November, and you can see people bundled up. So that shows dedication, that shows true enthusiasm and excitement on the ground. Now, the other way you can tell it was a huge success, aside from Trump filling the arena, aside from the huge overflow crowd, is based on how the media is responding. So take a look at this chyron that they ran on MSNBC. Trump's MSG rally comes 85 years after pro-Nazi rally at famed arena. So you can tell the Democrats are freaking out. And I'll show you a huge segment of Tim Walz and AOC just absolutely tearing the rally apart during a live stream. But before we get to that, I want to just, celebrate the win today. Just talk about what a momentous event that this was. So Trump's rally was actually carried live on virtually every network, every channel, every station. Just take a look at this screenshot. It was on PBS News, Fox News, C-SPAN, CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, OAN, News Nation. I mean, talk about flooding the zone. This is actually a strategy that Steve Bannon talked about in 2016. And the concept there was that in the closing weeks of the campaign, just put yourself everywhere. Just flood the zone with your message, with your content, with your campaign, and really suck all the oxygen out of the room so that your opponent can't gain traction. There's no oxygen left for them to start a fire, for them to start momentum. So, that right there, I think, proves that Trump is flooding the zone. Now, to show you the enthusiasm and give you a sense of the vibe inside the arena, I want to show you footage from Scott Presler. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Scott Presler is on the ground in Pennsylvania. He is working day and night to get registrations, and he perhaps is almost single-handedly responsible for Republican registrations, new voter registrations in Pennsylvania, outpacing Democrats. So this is footage that Scott took himself.
USA! 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 USA!
Just packed. And what I love about this clip is whenever we see footage from Trump's rallies, it's usually these huge sweeping shots, these awesome photos, but we rarely get to see it from the perspective of an attendee. So I love that iPhone footage just sweeping around, showing everything. Now, this is how Trump started his speech. Again, just another vantage point where you can really feel the enthusiasm inside Madison Square Garden.
Thank you very much to a very popular former First Lady, hopefully First Lady again. And I just want to say a very big hello to a special place, New York, and to an incredible arena, Madison Square Garden. People that could fill it up 10 times. You take a look at outside what's going on all the way down to the river, the beautiful, beautiful Hudson River.
That is just absolutely awesome. And one of Trump's strongest moments, the whole speech was a strong speech. He was fired up, energetic all throughout, and he actually unveiled new policies, which I'll share with y'all in a minute. But one of my favorite lines was pretty much at the very beginning of this speech, where he asked, "Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?" And, that's what it comes down to, right? Because we've all lived through one Trump term, and we've all lived through a Biden-Harris presidency, so we now know what the difference is.
I'm thrilled to be back in the city I love, and thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. You're with me. We're all together. We've always been together. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah, you just heard the crowd scream in unison. Now, one of my favorite things that Trump does with his rallies is he saves the big announcements for the really momentous rallies, right? So when he went to Aurora, Colorado, he unveiled Operation Aurora. When he went to Coachella, he unveiled new policies. When he returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, the site of the assassination attempt. I mean, every time there is a new milestone or a rally that is, they're all special, but ones that are really on the map, he saves his big announcements for that. And obviously Madison Square Garden, in the belly of the beast, in Deep Blue New York City, with the entirety of the mainstream media paying attention, Trump unveiled new policies, and perhaps the most important, the most impactful one was this new family tax credit for caregivers.
I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right? They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much.
What's really interesting about this is Kamala has actually talked about caregivers. She, I don't think, has used that word specifically that much on the campaign trail, but the way she talks about it is usually about the sandwich generation. So the generation in the middle. They're not the youngest of us, but they're also not the elderly. So basically, people a little older than me, they have children and they're in the middle. They have to take care of their kids, but they also have to take care of their aging parents. And Kamala has talked about that, but she's never unveiled a policy. She's never given a vision of how to help what she calls the sandwich generation. So I love that without pandering to the sandwich generation, Trump just says, you know what? Here's a policy proposal. Here is an actual concrete idea that will benefit your life. And he unveiled that tonight at his rally in the middle of Deep Blue New York City. I think just a brilliant move. What a way to cut through the media filter and make sure you get your message out there when the media, all their eyes are on you. Now, how do we know this rally was effective? How do we know that, Trump is actually making a difference here? You can tell, aside from the crowd, aside from the massive turnout, you can tell based on how the media is reacting. And what the media is doing now, of course, MSNBC is calling this a Hitler reenactment, but it's not just that. They're actually not focused on Trump. They're focused on Tony Hinchcliffe, who is a comedian. I hate to say it, I don't really follow stand-up comedy, so I didn't hear about him until tonight. But the entirety of the Democrat Party is freaking out about the jokes, not policy proposals, the jokes that a comedian talked about at Trump's rally. So here is, and by the way, if a comedian was racist, they would be making jokes only at one people group's expense. They wouldn't be an equal opportunity offender. So I think one of the great things about comedy is if a comedian can make fun of anyone, everyone, any topic, I mean, that's how you know they're good. And I think we've unfortunately gotten too soft as a society where people can't differentiate between a joke and then an actual serious topic, a serious conversation. Tony Hinchcliffe isn't running for president. Donald Trump is. So just to prove that Tony Hinchcliffe is an equal opportunity offender, here is a joke he made about the Middle East.
When it comes to Israel and Palestine, we're all thinking the same thing. Settle your stuff already. Best out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors. You know the Palestinians are going to throw rock every time. But you also know the Jews have a hard time throwing that paper. You know what I'm saying?
Again, equal opportunity offender. He's making fun of both sides. He's not just picking on the Palestinians. He's not just picking on the Jews. He's making fun of both of them because it's comedy. He's trying to make a joke. By the way, he was one of the opening acts. And before I get even deeper into this topic, this is proof that the Trump team is all about free speech. So I was following this story. It was back when Trump did his Atlanta rally. There was a black female that he asked to be one of his openers. She spoke on stage. Apparently, he had actually met her at the Chick-fil-A earlier that day, or maybe it was the day before, but Trump made a campaign stop at Chick-fil-A, and he met this young lady, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she's involved somehow with college students, or like college Republicans, or I don't know, but I feel like that's what my brain's remembering. But he met her at Chick-fil-A, and all of a sudden, because of that interaction, she spoke in Atlanta. And when you listen to her interview afterwards, because the media asked her what it was like to speak at a Trump rally, one of the questions that I specifically remember was, did they tell you what to say? Did they give you a script? Did your speech have to get approved? And she said, no, they just invited me to speak. They let me go up there and I said whatever I wanted. So everything I said came straight from the heart. And I think that's one of the great things about the Trump campaign, because obviously they have Elon Musk. They are truly the party of freedom of speech. And they're not trying to tightly control their message. They're not making sure everyone has the same recited, boring, washed down, watered down talking points. They're just letting their opening acts go up there and say what they want. And so honestly, I think if the Trump campaign had vetted his comedy routine, they might have filtered that out. But for someone who is a free speech absolutist, I think that's actually a great thing. Just let them say what they want. So that's just my 2 cents on that before we continue. So Don Lemon actually reacted to this, and Tony Hinchcliffe made a joke about how babies are born. I thought it was funny, but apparently Don Lemon took real offense at this.
I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
Okay, Don, like, I get it. So Don is part of the political elite, and I can tell you exactly what he's thinking. He's like, no, we want to welcome migrants. And yes, I will say this for the 1,000th time. People who are law-abiding, Constitution-loving Americans, they have no problem with migrants. Come here legally, go through the process. We understand that we need migrants, and it helps enrich American life, American culture. But you have to love the country. You have to assimilate. You have to share our values. What Tony Hinchcliffe is clearly talking about here are the illegal migrants, the criminals, the ones rushing the southern border, and Don Lemon just shaking his head. I mean, because he wants to be perfect. It's comedy. Tony isn't running for president. He's doing a comedy skit, a comedy routine. Take a joke.
It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Not really.
I mean, again, it was just a joke. And if you think about it, he actually kept it clean. Like, if you had kids there, they wouldn't get it, the double entendre. Like, they would have no idea what that actually means. So, you know, he's making jokes again at everyone's expenses. That's why I played you the Middle East clip earlier. But that's not what the liberals, that's not what the media are really freaking out about. What they are freaking out about is this moment.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. No.
Now, I just want to point out one thing. Pay attention to the crowd's reaction. The crowd didn't uproariously laugh. There was a gasp of shock of like, oh, like burn, or I I don't know if we're allowed to laugh about this. So it's not like he said that and the place was roaring, cheering. Yeah, Puerto Rico's trash. Look, multiple things can be true. And I think this is what I hate about modern politics is you can't be nuanced. In modern politics, it's either you're a Democrat or you're Hitler. Like there's just no gray space. There's no in between. Let me give you some nuance. Let me give you some gray space. I personally would not make that joke. I did not laugh at that joke, clearly. I don't think it's funny. However, I'm not going to pretend that that's the vision, that that's the policy, that that's the attitude of Republicans or Donald Trump. It's clearly a joke. He was trying to make a funny, get a reaction. Guess what? He got a reaction. That's what comedians do. You know what? The truth about comedy is that the reason things are funny is, number one, there's usually an element of truth, or number two, there's a fine line, and you are, trying to push against that boundary. Comedy that is well within the box, well within the lines, is not funny. You have to push the boundaries. And so that's what he did. It clearly fell flat in the arena. Some people maybe were amused, but I think based on the crowd's reaction, it wasn't like, yeah, trash, hilarious. Like, no one on the Republican side it wasn't a thing. Yet, the mainstream media and the Democrats are picking up on that one joke. And again, going back to the topic of the video, going back to the title of this video, that's how you know the Democrats are freaking out. That's how you know they're afraid. That's how you know this rally was successful, because they can't criticize what Trump said. Remember, they've been building up this rally as a Hitler rally, as a Nazi rally. If it really were a Nazi rally, don't you think they'd be focused on Trump? If Trump really was a fascist, if he really was a dictator, if he really was the reincarnation of Hitler, did I repeat myself? It's late. If he really was all of those things, don't you think the media and the Democrats would be focused on him? But no, they're focused on Tony, who spoke hours before Trump did, who, by the way, was making a joke. And by the way, AOC, Tim Walz, decided to campaign off of this. And again, this is proof that they're freaking out about Donald Trump standing right now.
Who is that Jackwad? Who is that guy?
Actually, I think that's Tony Hinchcliffe, which is super disappointing. I mean, he's a comedian. I don't follow
look, Trump,
this
issue
very
with Puerto
closely,
Rico
but...
again. I saw it. This was when he went down after Helene, the horrific hurricane, people there, everybody coming together. We sent helicopters down from Minnesota and personnel. This is how you do this during this. And in the first hours, Trump complaining about the response. Does anybody remember how he responded to Maria in Puerto Rico? It was absolutely horrific. Down there insulting people, throwing it. Look, I know that the folks are
throwing it. He was, if I remember correctly, what Tim Walz is referring to was Trump throwing paper towels out from the back of a truck. I think the media was upset because he wasn't showing decorum by passing out paper towels. He was throwing them. They really will find anything to complain about.
Here today, understand this. People in Puerto Rico are citizens. They pay taxes and they serve in the military at almost a higher rate than anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's like super upsetting. Obviously, it's super upsetting to me. My family is from Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican. And like, the thing that is so messed up that I wish more people understood is that the things that they do in Puerto Rico are a testing ground for the policies and the horrors that they wish to, and that they do unveil in working class communities across the United States. And I need people to understand that when you have some a-hole calling Puerto Rico
who's not running for office,
know that that's what they think about you.
Not true.
That is exactly that's just what they think about you. It's what they think about anyone who makes less money than them. It's what they think about the people who serve them food in a restaurant. It's what they think about the people who fold their clothes in a store.
White people work at stores.
You're right.
Are you serious?
I mean, not everyone who works at a restaurant, works retail, works like a job is Puerto Rican. I don't know what she's talking about. And then also, it's the Democrats who literally are calling Trump Hitler, literally calling his rallies Nazi rallies. They are calling half the population Nazi by extension. They're saying that seriously, by the way. They're saying that seriously and literally. And we're not supposed to be upset by that, but we're supposed to be, so outraged by a joke? A joke that the candidate himself did not say, likely did not hear, likely had no idea was even going to be said. And like I said earlier, the campaign, we now know that those speakers who speak before Trump, their speeches aren't vetted. They're allowed to say whatever they want because guess what? Trump's team, Trump's campaign, Trump himself believes in free speech.
Yeah, the privilege of being on this campaign is traveling across the entire country. There are hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans in battleground states that need to send them a message on this.
I want them to
you gotta vote.
roll that. I want everyone in Philadelphia to see that clip. If
Yes.
you live in Philly, why don't you go and see that clip?
Reading, yes.
If you
across
live
this
in
country.
Reading, Pennsylvania, which I was there, I was in Reading last week. If you're in Reading,
Great
if you're in
community.
Philly,
Super, yeah.
look at that trash. Like, what is trash is people actually just thinking of other human beings that way. Are you actually for real? And the thing that gets me is that these people their entire lives rely on working class people. If you have someone that's not there to harvest the crops that show up in your grocery store, in your Erewhon or your Whole Foods or wherever it is that you go to eat, if you think lesser of working class Americans, of
Caring
people
for our
who
children.
They really are grasping at straws here. Again, this just shows the panic and the desperation on the left. Desperate people do desperate things. They're not even attacking Trump anymore. They're going after a comedian for telling a joke. Was it maybe like on the line? Did it maybe even cross the line? Sure, whatever. But that's his job. He's not running for president. Trump is. For them to be, they are making a mountain out of a molehill. If it's even a molehill, maybe it's an anthill. And they want to talk about human beings. Forget about the Hitler-Nazi comparisons. They talk about Trump supporters needing to be re-educated, put into re-education camps. They talk about separating children from parents if their parents don't support sex changes for minors. There's just so much hypocrisy going on here. They don't even see it. And I think that's why they're bleeding support. Right now they're jumping up and down because they're like, oh, we finally got Trump now. This is the one. This is the nail in the coffin. And I think this could backfire if they spend an entire news cycle jumping up and down about something Trump himself didn't even say. That just makes them look crazy. I'm sure they're thrilled. I think they think they actually have something, but I don't think the American people are going to fall for it. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. What do you think about this whole controversy? Do you think the joke was inappropriate? Do you think Democrats are overreacting? Do you think they have a point? Let me know your take down in the comments below. I'm excited to hear what you think about it. And by the way, I know I have a very diverse audience. I have people from all walks of life. If you yourself are Puerto Rican, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, please let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think about my analysis of it. Do you think I hit it on the head? Do you think I'm way off base? I really would like to hear from you because I don't have your life experience, and I would love to learn from you and see your perspective. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more people like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.